Welcome to Blue Wave Radio, episode E2. This is a discussion with Dr. Ivan Meyer. Good evening and welcome to Blue Wave Radio. This is my first interview with Dr. Ivan Meyer. He is a member of Parliament in the Western Cape. He's a leading member of the DA. And tonight I hope to discuss a few points with him regarding the DA's method or methodology regarding governance. Ivan, good evening and welcome.
Thank you for this great opportunity to speak about the Democratic Alliance and particularly our brand of good governance. Many people know that where the DA governs, we govern better. But what does it entail in very practical and substantive terms? Firstly, the first thing that Jan Zille did in 2009 was to change the ministerial handbook, because what the ministerial handbook does, it describes all the benefits of ministers. And the first thing she did is to reduce the benefits of ministers in the Western Cape. Now we did that with a specific purpose, namely to respect taxpayers' money. And the second thing that we did is also to appoint people that's fit for purpose. We know what is happening currently at Eskom and Telkom and all of these state-owned enterprises. So we decided we're going to have a different methodology of appointing people. Namely, you must be fit for the purpose of the job. So it's not so much about the color of your skin. It is about what contribution you can make to bring a better life for people in the Western Cape. So she coined something that is called, you must be fit for the purpose. And clearly, you can see that many of the people that they are working at the SABC, at Eskom, they are clearly not fit for purpose.
So it's a competence-based.
It's a competence-based assessment to give you, since your radio station is dealing with the depth and the substance of matters, let me explain you how it happens. Firstly, you must apply online. We have an e-recruitment system. So if you don't qualify on the e-recruitment system, the system kicks you out. So we cannot have chances working in the Western Cape. Secondly, you must go for a competency assessment. It's not just an interview and then appoint people on face value. You do a proper competency assessment. We call it a fit for purpose assessment. After that, we set you with a real life problem in a separate room and a laptop to solve that problem. After 30 minutes, we ask you to come, present that solution to a panel. So we judge you on practical solutions about real life problems through a presentation.
This is amazing. I think this is awesome.
Then we have an interview. Then we assess you on the interview. And after that, we do a due diligence so that we see that you are not a criminal or a crook. After that, you must go for another competency assessment. We bring industrial psychologists in to say, this person has this weakness and will or will not be able to work in this environment. Because in the Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape under Zille, it is not only the skills that matter, it is your values that matter. So what we have done is we coined core values: caring, accountability, integrity, responsiveness. Those are the core values. So the industrial psychologist will tell you, after you went through all your assessments, this person will or will not be able to do certain things. And so they will also identify your weaknesses in the system before you get an assessment. In the rest of the country, like in Telkom and the SABC, people get interviews. Most of them highly incompetent. In the Western Cape, we don't do that. We give you, for example, we will tell you, if you want to work in disaster management, for example, in the Western Cape, we will give you a case study to say, you've just seen now on the news, an aeroplane has crashed at Cape Town International Airport. Mm-hmm. You are now appointed to head up the disaster management unit in the Western Cape. How do you deal with that problem? It's a real life problem.
Yeah,
you can't now. We want a real life case study. Mm-hmm. And so for us, the point of being fit for purpose has to do with that depth. The third thing that Jan Zille did, she went to London. She looked at how do they manage their government in England. And there they have, here in South Africa we see the ANC has many plans, but nothing gets implemented. So in the United Kingdom, under Tony Blair, they've adopted a system called DSU, which is called a Delivery Support Unit. So when Jan Zille came back from England, she implemented a delivery support unit. Because politicians sometimes talk a lot, and then the officials They do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like here in Middelburg, they sit in the council, they talk a lot of things, but when you go on the street, you see nothing. Helen Ziller called this the wheelbarrow syndrome. The politician pushed the wheelbarrow, and when he stopped, nothing happens. So she implemented a thing called the Delivery Support Unit to make sure that the policies of the government actually happens on the ground. Where do you get that? So
yeah, this is amazing. I'm actually gobsmacked at people actually having such systems in place.
So we have a delivery support unit, but the delivery support unit cannot be just a few people. Every 6 weeks, Helen Ziller call you into her office. She then implemented a thing called stock-take meetings. If she has a big mega project, like ESCOM, every 6 weeks, she want to know, how far are you? What are you doing?
Where have you been? What have you done? What's the problem?
But Helen Ziller is not going to wait for you for 6 months. In her office, she implemented another thing called BIS Project. BIS Project is an electronic platform that Helen Ziller can see all the government projects, whether they are running behind schedule, whether they run over cost. She can see it on her phone. We have a thing called DataZen. A DataZen is an electronic app that monitor the implementation of government projects. So she has regular stock take.
She actually knows what's going on. That's the point.
Ziller knows what's going on. When Ziller call you to an office and ask you about a project, you must know she has the answer.
She has the answer already. She's not asking you to...
Ziller don't call you to the office to ask you to give an answer. She has the answer. She wants to make sure that you're on the ball.
She's checking if you've got the answer.
Yes.
I like that kind of boss.
Yeah. Well, one year, she found the mayor of Caledon in Cape Town, called Theewaterskloof. Helen Ziller called this guy 6 o'clock in the morning, and she asked him about some stats about his town. And his reply was, he said, Premier, I'm on my way to the office, I will get you that information. Helen Ziller said, no, then you're not a mayor. A mayor should have all this information right at his fingertips. You're not a quality mayor. You should be driving this information. So what Ziller also did, she has a very effective performance management system. As a Minister of Finance, I signed a contract with her. And if I don't perform, I'm just out. There's not a discussion and a debate and a meeting and a toy.
You've come short. Cheers.
Cheers. Goodbye. Here's your letter. Then another thing that I think that is interesting from the governor's perspective is what the ANC does. They will, if you call in the ANC minister and you ask, like ESCOM, what have you done? What they will tell you, they had this meeting, they had that meeting, they had that workshop, they had a discussion, they meet there. Now that is what we call output indicators. Zilla scrapped that. She said, I'm not interested in output. She's interested in outcome indicators. Output,
the result.
The result. So she called it result-based management. So we compiled a document. It's called the outcome indicator. So for everything there's an outcome. Outcome means what difference that happens on the ground. Not a meeting about ESCOM. And to talk about ESCOM, when she saw the situation in ESCOM, she said, look here, we're not going to have meetings. So she created a thing called the Energy Game Changer. She called the team and said, listen here, ESCOM is going to drop us. We're going to create an energy game changer. So what she did, she created a special economic zone, the green economy. She drove the green economy. We are now the fastest renewable energy industry in the whole world in terms of growth.
I am very interested in that. I come from a technical background. To be honest, one of the coolest things I know is this integrated micro generation, renewable generation, which I think is, as you said, a game changer, and it's only being implemented in the Western Cape.
Absolutely.
I've had quite a few discussions with Bosman from an ideas point of view. If you take something like any one of the primary schools or high schools in town, they've got enough roof space to generate megawatts of power.
Absolutely.
If you generate megawatts of power from a school building, you can actually have the sun pay for education.
Well, that's exactly what is now happening in the Western Cape. It is now legal in 22 municipalities in the Western Cape to produce your own solar PV energy And it is in 18 of these municipalities, you can feed this back into the grid for compensation. And the biggest people that can benefit are schools,
churches
and churches and hospitals and malls with big roof space. So I'm very excited because Jalan Zillis had the foresight, she had the vision to understand this is going to happen. So what she created is a special economic zone for the green economy. We've also created the SPV, a special purpose vehicle, which is called Green Cape, to drive the green energy, because government is not innovative and creative. So we created a special purpose vehicle to drive this, to bring the investors in, and then you create some incentives for those people in that space.
You said you took the words out of my mouth. Government is not creative. A committee of people is not creative. The only creative thing there is a person with a problem to make profit.
Yeah.
If you have a person, doesn't matter if he's making hamburgers or he's making bricks or he's selling solar power.
Yeah.
As soon as an individual is faced with a problem, he will lie awake at night and fix the problem or find a solution to the problem. A committee doesn't lie awake at night because of a problem. Doesn't matter if it's the best scientists in the world. If he's getting his pay at the end of the month, and whether he comes up with a problem or not doesn't affect the pay, he doesn't think for himself. He doesn't think about the problem.
That's why in the Western Cape, we have implemented under Jalan Zillis' leadership a thing called PERA, P-E-R-A. It stands for Premier Entrepreneurship Recognition Award. We recognize entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs are people that are innovative. Yes. So we have also created an innovation fund of 5 million rand. We ask creative people, innovative people, bring us your business plan, and we up to a maximum of 200,000 rand, we prepare to put in seed money just to kickstart your innovation. If it is more innovative, obviously there's more money. We run this every year in partnership with Deloitte. We have an innovation fund. We normally have it at the International Convention Center, and we say, bring your innovation,
bring your stuff.
Our current premier candidate was the former Minister of Economic Development. His office, the last Thursday of the month, his office is open until 9 o'clock. And what that purpose is for any entrepreneur, without an appointment, you come to his office, and you come and you can arrange a crowd.
You can talk with your crowd.
You can talk to a crowd in the minister's office, and you look at your idea. If he sees the idea as merit, he runs with it and gives you all the other opportunities. That is something creative. It's amazing. It has never happened. And this office, by the way, if you come to Cape Town, it is in Long Street. It's open the last Thursday
of the month.
You can just walk in there.
I just want to get back to one technical point regarding the green power. Is we're sitting in Middelburg tonight. Now Middelburg, if you climb on a roof here, you can see the 8 biggest power stations in the country.
I saw Kusile now.
You saw about a whole bunch of them coming in. If there's a hill in Witbank's just 35 kilometers from here. If you stand at a specific restaurant on the balcony, you can count the power stations like this. But the problem is, this is the 1,400 k's away from Cape Town. Now, people think that the electricity moves for free. Electricity doesn't move for free. It costs a hell of a lot of money to get the electrons to flow from here to Cape Town.
In terms of the reticulation down.
The reticulation costs. There's losses. There's resistance losses to travel or send electricity this distance. For an interesting point, the transmission from here to the Cape is the longest transmission line in the world. It's running at 750,000 volts. It is the longest line in the world, and it was necessitated by the fact that we generate here and we use there. If you can start generating a portion of your power in Cape Town, you're not only saving the power that you use there, you're also saving all the transport losses.
Yes.
So starting micro PV in Middelburg is sort of pointless in that respect, because we're right in between all the power stations. But starting at the far end of the road, that's a big story.
Well, I think this is a very interesting thing that you mention it, because what we have done, we have about 2,000 buildings, the Western Cape government, schools, clinics, libraries, museums, and all of these institutions. So what we have done since 2015, we have reduced electricity consumption in metered buildings, by our own buildings, by 24%. And we've also now built at Karl Bremer Hospital. It has now received a 5-star green building certification, the first of its kind. And one of the things is we believe is we must diversify our energy sources. So we use currently, as you know, Kubik in Cape Town, nuclear. We also use coal, but the third one is currently under repairs and maintenance. It is the hydro electricity plant at Gordons Bay. We have also Steenbras Dam that also generates into the city.
Is it a pump storage?
It's a pump storage. Pump storage in Gordons Bay area.
Yes.
So that also provide not enough, but it provided
it's
to the
extent. Load station.
It's a load station that prevented us from load shedding in the previous round when there was massive load shedding across the country. But the real solution for South Africa, there are certain regions in Germany that's much colder than here, that the whole town is now using alternative energy.
Yeah.
We are in Africa. So the real solution should be for us to use independent power producers and use the sun energy.
Create it at point of use.
Absolutely.
And use Eskom or the coal-fired system or the nuclear system as a last resort.
It's a last resort because it's clean.
There's 2 points I'd like to fill in on you. If you can produce the power needed for your Gordons Bay hydro station, if you can produce that with solar, then it's free. Because in the day when the sun is shining, you pump water as much as you can. Tonight the water runs down the hill through the turbine. You're generating power, and it's free. If you run it off coal, like the same is happening at the Drakensberg pump scheme, which is a much bigger thing, but it's still the same thing, is you're taking off-peak coal supply and you're pumping water upwards, and then at night when in the peak periods, then you run the water down again. We basically know how the system works. The point is that thing is only 60% efficient.
Yeah.
That's the best you can get it.
Absolutely.
That's a problem. So if you're paying R1 for the power at night to pump the water up, you're only getting 60 cents worth of power in the morning. This is basic mathematics.
Yeah.
But if you paid nothing for the kilowatt hour that sent it up, it's free.
It's free. Well, talking about this particular matter, I think you might find this also interesting. The 3 global risks is water, energy, and food security. So I have recently met with the colleagues from the French embassy. In France, they have a thing called funding innovation abroad. We had one area called Witstrand. There are 300 people living there, and they every year run out of water. They write letters to Yalanzilla and myself, and we just got tired. So we, through a partnership with the French government, we have now built a solar panel driven desalination plant, the first on the African continent. I've opened it 3 weeks ago in Witstrand, in the area close to Riversdale.
I'd love to come and see this.
You must come and see that thing. It is solar panel driven generation,
so
because
when the sun is shining, the water comes.
And the beauty is, given the crisis that we currently have with Eskom, you don't want a desalination plant not to be able to work, because a desalination plant, as you know, use a lot of energy, electricity, and with Eskom, you don't have reliable sources of energy. It's world class, and the beauty is, I gave them 4.5 million. It was built in France for 4.5 million. For 9 million rand, you solve that problem of that town forever.
For 20 years.
For 20 years.
There's a little bit of maintenance on the side, but
maintenance is electronic.
Because the worst thing about, and I want to twist this solar energy thing a little bit further. Food security and solar energy go hand in hand, and the reason for this is simple. Irrigation is the way we go. You won't have the chance, but if you can ever go down to the Groblersdal Loskop Dam irrigation system, it is mind-blowing. to see the system run. The main issue with irrigation is pumping water. If some of my friends in agriculture will tell you, if you've got a hectare of mealies dry land versus a hectare of mealies under irrigation, there's 2,000 rand a hectare per year difference, and that difference comes from energy.
Sure.
Now, if you can give the energy, if I can, let's say I'm a farmer out here and I've got a dam with water and I've got a land and I can irrigate it. But the problem with irrigation is you only need it for a very tiny fraction of the year.
Yeah.
One of the guys said if you can give a mealie 400 millimeters of rain exactly when it needs it, you're done.
Yeah.
But you need to put it there when it needs it.
And that is also technology.
That's technology. Now, let's paint this picture a little bit bigger. We have the water, we have the land. We can get the energy for free, but the installation is so expensive that it's not worth it, because a pump that runs a pivot is not a toy. It's 100 kilowatt, 150 kilowatt kind of installation.
Big stuff.
But you can't put that in place if you're only going to run it for a week, 2-3 weeks a year. But if the government or ESCOM or whomever, the distribution, was willing to use your 100 kilowatt installation the rest of the year, the other 50 weeks, the other 48 weeks, and pay you money for that energy, that's food security.
That's food security. But
I had the advantage of going to Timbuktu in Mali, and what I was gobsmacked at how poor those people are. People in South Africa don't know poverty. We have no idea what poverty is until you've seen those people. They live on nothing. But what I saw there was heartbreaking, because you had a river the size of a Vol Dam running for 2,000 kilometers.
Yeah, it's from here to Cape Town.
The Niger River is 300 or 400 meters wide, and it falls 50 meters from Bamako to the coast. It's a long dam.
Yeah. Massive.
You can sail up that thing from Niger. You can sail from the coast up to Timbuktu on a boat.
Yeah.
That's how flat the thing is. Yeah. It is the Vol Dam for 2,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
It's 364.5 days of sunshine a year.
Yeah.
And the people are dying of hunger. And all they need is a center pivot, some solar panels, and a pump.
Yeah.
The water is there. It's abundant.
If you have water, you don't have to.
If you have water and sunlight, 100 years ago, before ESCOM, before electricity, before fertilizer, food security was an issue. 100 years ago, people died in famines. We Westerners, we don't know what a famine is. We haven't seen a famine in 100 years. No.
But I like your analogy about water and energy. If you have those two things, you should not you should not have problems with food security or go hunger or have famine.
But the great thing about solar energy, and it's become really, really cheap now, compared to 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, because of the...
We're talking of 4 rand a watt.
Yeah.
2 years ago, it was 8 rand a watt.
That's getting cheaper.
10 years ago, it was 25 rand a watt, 50 rand a watt.
Yeah.
That's not adjusted for inflation. This is real numbers.
Yes.
So solar panels and solar energy has become dirt cheap, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that's the future, but I think I'm very happy that you mentioned this link between water, energy, and food security, because these are the three global risks. And Africa has 1 billion people, and Africa has a lot of water and a lot of energy, but there's a lot of poverty. That should not be the case.
We're poor, and I want to step over to the next point. The reason we're poor is one reason only, and that is that the whole of post-colonial Africa is sitting in a Leninist, Marxist, socialist trap, to say the least. And the problem with that is the whole socialist system and the postmodern system is individuals can't think for themselves. And people want the government to think for them.
But I'm very sorry to say this government here in South Africa does exactly that. They call it the National Democratic Revolution. The National Democratic Revolution is nothing but the old Marxist-Leninist approach. The state must control everything. That's why ESCOM is in this situation. You must have a monopoly. And in economics, we speak about a symmetrical approach and an asymmetrical approach. What this government is doing, they follow a symmetrical approach. Every town must get a little bit, but nothing actually happens. What we have done in the Western Cape, we have done a study called the growth potential of towns and regions, and then based on the strength of your town, we are investing in that particular town strength. That's what we call an asymmetrical approach. Yeah. Because Leninist Marxist means give everybody, if you have a 10 rand, give everyone a rand and everybody die.
Yeah, the one equal outcome of Marxism and Leninism is poverty and suffering. And we experience it absolutely right here on the African continent. We're experiencing it right here in South Africa because we've got the wrong government. And I've said this before, and this is a point that people miss, is that the leadership of the ANC had their training by the KGB, Stasi, the worst socialists in the world, responsible for hundreds of millions of deaths.
Yeah.
No? And let's say a year after their graduation, socialism or the Soviet Union fell flat on its face.
Well,
these guys are still hooked in that philosophy.
They stuck in that philosophy because what that philosophy did, it benefited the leaders. Yeah. Because under socialism there was a few cliques, and this is why I brought these two books, because these two books reflect the two different philosophies in South Africa. There is one that is actually a license to loot, and this is socialism, this is communism, this is the ANC. Yeah. Absolutely having a license to loot. And there's a second philosophy which I believe in, which the Democratic Alliance believe in, building a capable state. And under Jan Zille, we've been able to build a capable state. So these are the two choices: a license to loot or building a capable state. And I'm very happy to say that the track record of Jan Zille, and she's going to write a book about how she built a capable state in South Africa.
The very, very bad thing, just touching on Helen Zille for a moment, is there's a machine within the machine on the ANC side. There's this, I get this perception of this crowd who's sitting there like vultures on waiting for something to die. And all they do is wait for Helen to say something wrong, wait for a teacher to take a photograph from the wrong angle, wait for some guy to put a woman on the back of his bakkie where she wanted to sit. Whatever they can get their dirty claws in, they'll explode that thing beyond any recognition, but make a hell of an incident out of it. Everybody gets upset, and then it dies down.
But Jan Zille also exposed them, because there were people in India, bots, Twitter accounts, false and fake Twitter accounts, and Zille has exposed it. The newspaper journalists have exposed it. It was being fabricated. It was part of this white monopoly capital. It was part of a campaign driven by the Guptas. So this attack on Jan Zille were all artificial, were all a deliberate intention. It was not real people, it was computer generated stuff. But in politics there are two things. There's the politics of fear and the politics of hope. So what the ANC does, they play the politics of fear. Jan Zille played the politics of hope and politics of optimism.
Well, Donald Trump had exactly the same thing in 2016, this whole fake news scenario. There's something I want to say about this whole white minority capital thing, and it might come out racist, but if so be it, is I don't think these guys, let's call them the ANC elite, realize how wholly incompetent you must be for a black organization to hire a white organization like Bell Pottinger to tell you how to construe a bunch of lies and create racial division.
Yes.
No?
Absolutely.
Are you so bad at what you do, that you have to hire your enemy, your sworn white supremacist enemy to do your dirty work.
I think this just demonstrates how weak the ANC is. They cannot think for themselves, so they hired this Adele Pottinger in London to create a false concept called white monopoly capital. There isn't a thing like that, but because this concept appealed to the ANC's racial nationalist agenda, they grabbed it and they manufacture and run with it. But like all things, we went to London. They were exposed. That company is in serious trouble.
Yeah.
So
everybody extracted from it. It's the same what happened with, I think it's Deloitte.
Deloitte is the
when
same.
Deloitte, when the can of worms came out where Deloitte was actively giving people permission to steal and giving them clean reports.
Absolutely.
And I've heard stories where guys just called in Deloitte auditors and said, listen, this facts? Yes? Okay, you're fired. Cheers.
Yeah. I think what the ANC does is they always play, because this is the only thing they can do, because their track record is so bad. So the only thing they have is to play the race card. And everything is white. Everything that is in South Africa that is white is portrayed as wrong. But I think this is now something that has also been exposed. We know that white people, historically, I read the Great Depression, I read what happened with white people in 1899. I read what happened to white people till in the Anglo-Boer War. And what did they do? They came out stronger. They built Sanlam. They built multinational corporations. They built Santam.
They built schools.
They built clinics, but they sold cook sisters and hot dogs and cakes weekends and built the nation.
They help mekaar organizations. I read about it this afternoon.
And I think what we must learn from white people is when there's in politics we say don't waste a good crisis. This country is now in a good crisis. The Afrikaners taught us how to react to a good crisis. There's Sanlam, there's Metropolitan, there's all these big, there's the Spoorweg, there's ISCO, SABC was built during a period of a crisis. So we are now in another crisis. We should rather say, look at Eskom. They retrench white electrical engineers. If you bring back those people, you can see in 18 months' time the difference right here at Eskom.
I can't agree with you more.
I think what this government must stop doing is stop what we call in science reductionism. All the problems are that of white people. I know a lot of white people. In fact, I'm a beneficiary of one white guy. When he died, I was in his will. I inherited all his books. I was in his will. My son then went to university to study. He used all that books. So white bashing is not in my architecture. And white people just want to do good things. They want to save South Africa.
I can't agree with you more. And the first thing I'm going to say, there are good people in every race.
Absolutely.
And there are some damn idiots everywhere. You won't have to go far to find an idiot.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what color he is, what language he speaks. There are idiots everywhere. And unfortunately, we have to live with them.
We live with them.
And those people are malicious, and they are stupid, and they do a lot more harm than they do good. But that's not the population. The population is a bunch of good people who wants a few things. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or brown or pink or purple. You want a few things. You want to do your thing. Think for yourself. You want to be safe. You want to educate your kids. And you want other people to leave your stuff alone.
Absolutely.
Just that. Doesn't matter if there's holes in the road and the water tastes a bit off and so on and so forth. But if you can have those few things, then you're good.
What we have done in the Democratic Alliance to package something what South Africans want. Firstly, South Africans want jobs. Secondly, people in South Africa don't feel safe. They want safety. So we package an offer to make people more safe. The third thing is we want people to have basic services. Fourthly, as a country and as a nation, we want to stop corruption. Corruption is in the DNA of the ANC and the ruling party. And lastly,
that's how they built.
That's how they built. And lastly, as a country and as a nation, you must know you've got secure borders. We don't have secure borders. We sent our spokesperson now to these borders. What we have discovered is shocking. So Africans know a little bit, but there's no border control. But the depth of the problem is bigger. And so all this criminality, drugs and illegal activities that come over our borders, when you're a nation, you are a nation because you are protected on your border. If you don't have protection on your border, you're not a nation.
To put it in another term, if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. You just have a place.
You don't just have a place. Which means this government don't care about you.
Yeah.
If you don't just have a place without secure borders, it means they're not interested. That's not a capable state.
It's not
a capable state has borders.
Yeah.
To protect
the funny point to make here is the communists had very good borders.
Absolutely.
To keep people in, not to let not to keep the enemy out. Nobody fled to a communist state.
Never.
Ever.
Nobody. I was in Berlin, I saw the wall, nobody wanted to go in there, they kept people in.
The Cubans banned boats so people couldn't leave.
Yeah, it's a prison.
It's a prison.
It's absolutely a prison.
I've written something some time ago. The commonality or the relationship between socialism and slavery is mind-boggling.
I never thought about it, but it's...
I can send you... I can't remember it off the top of my head, but the main key points of socialism and slavery, it's the same thing. You just don't have one master, you have a government as a master. The rest of everything is the same.
And you may never prosper.
You can never prosper, and you can never get out.
Yes. That's a prison.
That's a prison.
Socialism is a prison, Marxism is a prison, slavery is a prison.
Yeah, and coming back to Marxism, anyone that sells you the idea that you're a victim of anything wants to turn you into his prisoner.
Yeah.
Because a person that tells you that you're a victim for whatever reason, Ivan, you've got an ugly shirt, those people told you got an ugly shirt, I will save you from the ugly shirt brigade. Just give me all your thoughts, all your time, all your health.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
That's what, then the ugly shirt guys will go away. You'll never have a shirt again, but that's sort of not part of the equation.
Yes.
If you think about it that way, that's the way. On the contrary, on the sort of right-hand side of the spectrum, we say, Ivan, I don't care if people like your shirt. You can wear whatever shirt you want. If it makes you happy, go with it.
Yeah.
If other people don't like it, that's their problem. But it's your shirt, your time, your body. Do what you want.
Yeah. Well, this is more expressed in government terms, the two broad philosophies. This is why Cyril Ramaphosa cannot take South Africa forward, because he's caught between what you now call Marxism, which they call the National Democratic Revolution, which is rooted in slavery, rooted in socialism, and the National Development Plan. The National Development Plan is actually a very powerful document. It says to rise out of the ashes, you need three things. Yeah. They say the first thing, you need a capable state. 2, you need leadership. And 3, you need active citizenship. Now, active citizenship is not toy, burn the tires. Active citizenship, take responsibility for your children, take responsibility for your school fees, take responsibility for your community, for your job, and look, for example, in Rwanda. Yeah, that is active citizenship. The streets are absolutely clean. Yeah. Nobody in Rwanda walks bare feet because they believe in dignity. The place looks cleaner than in London and Paris and Germany.
Rwanda was a horror show in the 90s.
It was a horror show.
Of note.
Yes.
I traveled through Africa in 96 on a different adventure. But that was when the Rwanda horror show was just over.
Genocide.
The genocide thing. And somehow they picked it up. Rwanda was a success story. Mauritius is a success story. And the funny thing about it is, both those countries are dirt poor. They don't have mines. They don't have... Well, Mauritius has a bit of fisheries, but the only thing that grows abundantly in Rwanda is bananas. It's not even the size of Gauteng.
Yeah. Small country.
It's a very small country, but they they made a decision, and this goes back, coming back to the white Afrikaner sort of thing. In the 1900s to 1905, between the Anglo-Boer War and the First World War.
Yes. Yeah.
Afrikaans was actually Hollands, or a very, very bad derivative of Dutch.
That's it.
And someone came up and said, the Afrikaners will never have dignity until the language they speak is on par with the other languages. And they started by creating Afrikaans as a language with spelling rules, with grammar rules, with all of those things. And from that they built a pride in the nation. Absolutely. And from that they built an education system. And from that we built the country. Now, the whole apartheid thing aside, the Afrikaners went in 100 years from being, in 80 years, from being poor, disregarded laborers, which was disregarded by everybody. The English press painted us as the worst sort of vermin on the planet. And by the end of the 90s, I went to university in the 90s, and I could study engineering in Afrikaans. Now I'm going to ask this question of any ANC member. Where's Zulu standing in the game? Where's Xhosa standing in the game? Where's Pedi standing in the game? Did you use the last 21 years to put yourself on that level? Or did you just try to break and steal everything you can get your hands on?
I think what we have seen is, and I've also did my PhD in Afrikaans and my master's degree. I'm very proud of Afrikaans, but I also went to the Taal Monument. And I went to the Taal Museum in Paarl. And I was very impressed with what I saw there. Is they have a map, like this map here behind me. And they asked me to press the button. And when I pressed the button, there was 21 red lights going on
the map.
On the map, where Afrikaans is today being taught all over the world. Even in Russia, they have courses where they teach people to speak Afrikaans. So Afrikaans is a very powerful language. And when they attacked Afrikaans, then I stood up. I was the Minister of Cultural Affairs. I brought my friends together and I said, we're going to stand up for Afrikaans. But you must never defend a language from the university. You must never defend a language from the side of academics. So I wrote a poem. The title of the poem is Afrikaans is onskuldig. In fact, the people in Belgium also published this poem in Belgium. And this poem played itself out in a court. That is why it's called Afrikaans is onskuldig, because it is a man that loved Afrikaans, and when he saw the government is attacking Afrikaans, everybody's he went to the court and he made a case. And when the judge heard this case, the judge concluded Afrikaans is onskuldig. So my poem, you can Google it, is also written in the narrative of Adam Small, in that dialect of Afrikaans. So the poem and the court case ended 23:59, 1 minute before midnight. And the symbolism of my poem is you must fight for your language and your culture to the last minute, because in the last minute justice will prevail in terms of your language. So I published it in a book called Theater van die Verlore Tyd. But what I also did, I said to my friends, listen here, we are all Afrikaans people. Let us show them cultural warmth. We're not going to publish only in Afrikaans. We publish in Afrikaans. I wrote the first poem. We publish in Dutch. We publish in Xhosa. And we publish in English. So that Theater van die Verlore Tyd, although it's mainly Afrikaans speaking people, we have friends in the Netherlands. We asked them to send us poems. We went to the University of Cape Peninsula, University of Technology. We say, give us some students, African poems, and we published it.
That's amazing.
So this is what we called, in the Western Cape, I coined a concept called cultural warmth. I'm Afrikaans, but I said, let's stand back. Let's promote Afrikaans through Dutch, through Xhosa and English.
That's an amazing story. I really look forward to reading that.
You can Google it, you'll find my book.
That is amazing. Ivan, on that note, we need to finish. I really, really want to thank you for your time, and I really look forward to continuing this discussion, and I think there's great things coming for all of us.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. I think the Western Cape, under the leadership of Helen Zille, built a capable state, and what we have been able to do in this conversation is to show that there are two broad philosophies: a philosophy that wants to build a capable state, and the philosophy that actually loot the state. And the options are clear. We are going into this election with a manifesto to offer hope for people, and hope for us is real. HOPE means higher opportunities for people to excel, and I want to leave you with that message. Hope also in Xhosa means Ithemba, and we believe in Ithemba is not only hope, it's also trust. We trust the voters with their vote on 8 May.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for listening to Blue Wave Radio episode E2. For more information, please contact your nearest DA representative.